Oh,
Hey, welcome everybody to Battle Pirates Crib. We're going to talk about the Refactor. As far as I know, that's not a Depeche Mode album or David Bowie, but we're going to try and talk about what we don't know at this point. There's been some things come out as far as what they're doing, especially with lower level players and mid level players, as far as changing PvP into something that's more palatable. But we're going to have to wait for a little while to probably a month plus to figure out what's happening with everybody else. So let me go ahead and introduce everybody from left to right. The Earth
evening, guys. Welcome.
and Dr. Death
Hello.
and I forgot to. 1 second. Dr. Death, you got the slides, right?
Yeah, I've already got it on present, so.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. You haven't shared the screen.
You got to share the screen first. So while Dr. Death is looking for that, I think we've seen the first inklings of FM inflation, points inflation, with the not with the flagships, but with the MC3. Good.
I think there's a reason for that, though. It's because realistically, to get to the point that you were yesterday, putting an MC3 plate on allows you to free up two two armor slots. Obviously, reduce your armor repair time.
Yeah, but it's the new technology, the way they're releasing it, and now they've more than doubled the cost of getting prizes. So it's still points inflation, the way I see it, and that's one of the things that we've been worried about with the new format of the Forsaken missions. So I'm going to go ahead and put Dr. Death on present with the slides, and we can move along. And we'll bring that up later. I was just killing a little time. Alrighty. Bug fixes. CM Chris has been doing a good job with communicating a lot of things. But there needs to be a little more context, I think, for the bug fixes. UI for limited prizes not being displayed in FM prize pool. Does that mean that it's not? Does anybody know what this means?
No, I think there was some things that were in there that just weren't in there.
Or does it? It didn't show that they were limited. I know that's the issue. That
yeah.
I'm not sure which one those are. In case anybody, yeah. And John, yeah, it's 1 day, 17 hours each for the MC3 if you're taking off a MC1 to do it. Yeah, we'll get to that. Land tiles temporarily disappearing after base relocation. So you're leaving a couple base tiles in your previous sector.
Yeah, there was an issue with that where I know that there's a couple of people that I know had jumped sector, and when they landed, all of their base tiles had disappeared. All of the buildings were sat on land, and you had to physically put each land tile back into its place if you could remember exactly where they went. And if you went into base planner, it would just tell you that your design was illegal and that you couldn't fit it.
Okay, so it wasn't just a visual glitch. So if this was the outside land tile, people could just drive right through it.
Or it was. They were just your entire base kind of like just disappeared, and everything was just sat on the water, and it was just a bit weird.
Okay.
I know there was one guy that from PNLS. I was on the team speak, and he jumped, and he had that exact issue, and all of his land tiles had disappeared, and everything was on the water, and he couldn't fix it. and I think it took him like a day to fix it or something. So.
Okay. All right. Portal in base changes following hardware acceleration. Was this the issue with turrets not showing up? You couldn't see what was on the
You
portal?
couldn't see what was on the portal. Not fixed.
Okay, not fixed. Okay. And
So
I'm familiar with the walls not appearing destroyed, where people were
that's
hitting.
working now.
Okay, yeah. Because previously, what was happening was you would go and hit with something that needed to fire through walls, cannons, etc.
And you wouldn't know whether it was live or dead. It was really annoying.
Yeah, and so it was doing damage on the other side, but it appeared that they were intact. So, all right.
There was also another one that was on there on the bug fixes. Did you notice it?
The generic one that said we're improving performance and whatnot. Yeah, I deleted that.
Yeah, there was one that just said other fixes,
Yeah.
which I found quite amusing.
Yeah, I deleted that. They had that in the previous week, and I'm like, it's nothing to talk about there, because they're hard enough to decipher what the ones that actually say something mean. So I didn't want to spend time on that one. As part of a post by Sam Chris that I think is the follow up from Wrong Thinker's post as far as changes into the PvP content. On the left-hand side, plus minus 5 base levels extended to level 80. That used to be the condition for everybody from 0 or 1 to 50. Now that's got extended up to level 80. I'm wondering how those players are doing because I don't know how many active bases there are. If, say, you're a level 70, how hard is it to find a 75 and a 65?
Yeah, that's going to be rough. And then on top of that, what are they going to do about bounty?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. We have not gotten information as far as are we allowed to hit the replica bases below level 80? Yeah, and what are they going to do? Yeah, are they only going to be able to hit those?
Are they going to?
Yeah.
Are they going to lock out people under level 80 from doing bounty? Are they going to lock out the opponent bases so that only the lower levels can hit the lower level opponent bases? Because the thing is, if you've just come back to the game and you're trying to get into PvP and you're above level 80, but you've got 4-year-old tech, you're not going to be able to hit level 80 bases now, are you? So I think there's something that needs to kind of be thought about there before they implement anything or any changes.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the other thing that there's a lot of issues with this because I think it was on last Wednesday's show or Friday's show. I wanted, I didn't think it all the way through, but maybe if you're going to hit a level 80 below, you could max you can have as, a tier 6 Conqueror Hall as opposed to a tier 7 Conqueror Hall, because this causes a lot of issues as far as the first one I'd like to talk about is tour fleet sniping. Now at 75, you can go out and take out all your tour fleets with either Fang Tooth or a single Conqueror and just wipe them off the map. And you can't even go in there with a Corvette and rocket his dock to slow him down, right?
This is the sort of thing now that where you've put us into these boxes where we've got no ability to fight back against people who are chiping shore fleets. Snore fleets is probably the right word, actually, to be fair.
Yeah.
So it's about now the way you've got to turn around and go, PvE fleets can't engage in combat with PvP fleets, and PvE fleets can't also engage in combat with other PvE fleets, so that everybody's at least got their chore fleets available to them, because it's causing my massive exodus in the game. People getting sniped. It's a 25-hour repair on some of the fleets, and they go, well, I'm not going to coin it because I'll coin it, send it back out. Someone snipes it again. It's another 25 hours, another 50 coins. You know, people are not willing to do it, and it's all it's doing is making people. It's stopping PvP as well, because you've got a ridiculous repair on a fleet that's you were trying to do a chore with, that's now lasted 4 seconds against a PvP fleet, and then you've now got 25 hours of repair, which means that you've got, you're not going to want to coin that, so you're going to stick that on repair, and then so what are you going to do? You're just going to go stick that on repair and go bollocks to it. I can't afford to have any more repairs, so I can't do PvP because I've got 25-hour long fleet repair to do, so that I can do all of the shit that I need to do to keep up relevant in the game. So quite simply, make it fucking illegal to hit PvE fleets on the map, and it will fucking increase your amount of PvP that people will be doing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's been a long time coming if that's their actual plan, but I would have implemented that at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is as well, though, Happy. Sorry, I just wanted to add another thing. It's like even in the past, when before we had this branch out of separate classes for each individual targets that we're hitting and stuff like that. We used to be able to build fleets that could look after themselves to a certain extent on the map for doing our chores. We'd have our base hitting fleets, with like the addition of, like, for example, a sonar ship in there or something like that, which you just stick in the corner whilst you're actually hitting the target. But it'd protect you if someone decided they were going to snipe your fleet on the map. There's
but with all the class restrictions and
it's really kind of it's getting old. I know that a lot of people it infuriates me when someone, because I've even banned it with my guys. So I just go, look, don't hit fucking chore fleets. Everybody's got to do their chores, and nobody's winning at the end of the day. All it does is cause shit. It doesn't always work because they get sniped, they get pissed off, and then that's what they're going to do. But
Philip says it's easy to fix sniping. Give all the ships 90 therm and every weapon hit underwater. That's not going to fix it. If you hit, let's say your Manticores with a single missile storm cruiser on auto coming after you, you're going to die in seconds and have 22 hours of damage, and he's going to have 5 minutes of damage on auto. Yeah, on auto. He doesn't even, he can just click on it. You can't outrun it. It's doing way more damage, and it's got like 40,000 armor versus 2.4, 2.5 million. It's not fair. It's something that they need to just eliminate or make massive changes to the game. I think the people in charge at this point don't have the experience in the game to make those kind of massive changes. They just need to make it illegal at this point, because I've been playing the game forever and I don't even know how to fix that.
The only way of fixing it is like I said, PvE versus PvE fleets can't attack each other, so it's outlawed, and same with PvP versus PvE, so that basically PvE fleets on the map are fucking literally off limits. That way, at least everybody can start doing the chores, and you want they want asked questions as to how they can make things less chore. How they can relieve the burden of all of the chores we've got to. This is one of those things, because if I've got to fucking sit there and repair a fleet for 25 hours just to go out and go and get titanium, right? I'm going to get pissed off. I'm not going to coin it if someone sinks it on the map. I will just not do anything for 24 hours until it's fixed. And if someone hits me in that time, it will be 27 hours before it's fixed. And then I might be at work. I might not play for 2 days. If I'm not on, then I'm not spending, am I? So
yeah. And Leonard Skinner brought up an interesting point. Well, why don't you just set a PvE fleet as your guard? There's going to be since it wouldn't be allowed to be attacked. I'm assuming they would be thoughtful enough to not allow PvE fleets to be your base guard. So, but yeah, just remove it. Like PvE fleets can only interact with the PvE part of the game. They can't hit other players' PvE halls, PvP halls, or anything else. They're just there for the assigned chores because everything's been put in such a tight little box that that's the only way that they make sense anymore. And so I'm assuming that's what you were saying, Irf, right? And
yeah, it's exactly what I was saying. It's the only reason.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, Dynamite, he asked, well, what about Fangs? And what I'm saying is PvE fleets can't hit PvE fleets. PvE fleets
can only interact with the environment. They can't interact with players.
Yeah. So, all right, let's move on to unless anybody has any more on the. I mean, we could talk a lot about the level 80 thing. You know, like I keep on saying that they should have made it tier limited.
Yeah, I agree. It's a start, and I think obviously there is something in the planning about the tier limiting kind of thing. And I think in the post it said that we're going to have to wait until October to see that. But definitely there's something in there. This is just a quick band-aid to fix things a little bit for the minute, just so that people can try and get on a little bit and not get smashed by level 129s that just want to go and smash level 50s for whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because it brings up a whole litany of things that maybe we can talk about on Friday. But yeah, it is an approach. They're listening to the player base, but I'm not sure the player base was telling them the right thing to make it base level limited, is all I'm trying to say. The next thing is they've introduced some PvP stuff into defensive PvP stuff, which I think is good, into the FM, which is a PvE avenue for players to get prizes, including the High Guard Warden, Vulture Missile 2, and Blunderbuss 2 for 1 week only. It allows people to catch up on these things. I don't know why they made it 1 week only.
I agree. I mean, I think the High Guard Warden, fair enough, 1 week only, but the others should just be in there. But maybe next week they're going to be offering the EX2 and the Howie, possibly. You know, they might alternate it. But it's definitely a step forward in the right direction. I think that all the defensive stuff shouldn't be released in bounty because, you know, people that don't actually necessarily want to be involved in PvP and just play the game for the PvE aspect still want to have a chance at defending their base. So I don't think they should be forced into entering bounty just to get the turrets. I think it's a good idea that it's in the FM, really, to be honest.
Yeah,
And
I think it's
with the FM being the cornerstone of the game, you know, everybody does the FM. It's a good place to put it, and I think it's well thought out. But yeah, I think that definitely one thing that I would like to say about it is make sure you concentrate on getting the turrets first, and possibly the High Guard Warden if you can get that far before you go for the tokens, because obviously you can still auto like 32s and stuff like that for free base parts on the map. So kind of just think about which way you're going to do it, the time constraints that you've got. Obviously, you can get base parts whenever. You can only get these for a week. So just think about how you're going to play it.
Yeah.
The only thing I dislike about this is this trend that it seems to be that the points are really starting to shoot up through the air every week for the FM now, and it's making the FM more like a fucking weekly raid than an FM.
Yeah, it does feel that way. It does feel like, especially, but this week 3 in the cycle, I don't mind. Or was it week 3, or because we don't have bounty, we don't have the raid, we don't have anything else going on, and the TLCs, at least for me, are, I did the one I needed to do. Well, I didn't need to do either one of them, but the chameleon one, I got the whole thing done in an hour, and we'll talk about that TLC in a minute. But there's not a huge burden this week, so I didn't like
and especially considering you had the double trouble last week, which was a fairly easy campaign to do because it was all FM stuff anyway, and subs to clear out the guard fleet would obviously make it easier. So that maxed you out on Manticore tokens anyway for a lot of people. So having the Scorpion Sting in there, if admittedly if you've not got the missile tech, then obviously do it. But if you're just doing it for tokens, you yourself out last week, then you've got a little bit of a chance to have a breather and just concentrate on the FM.
All right, I understand that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this is now
I agree. The points are
FM
going
we've
up.
had elevated, massively elevated point requirements if you wanted to grab all the prizes. See what I mean? And if this keeps trending this way to where every week the FM comes out and we've got these high elevated prize, that's going to make this a very tedious chore on top of all the other tedious chores that we already have to do.
Oh no, I agree wholeheartedly. We still need to sort out an upper limit on what prizes in tier 5 are going to cost. All right, special things like adding in the vulture missile for a week in the high guard warden, fair enough. But any other prizes that should be added should have a set top end of 2 million at max.
So the other big change that they made was the dock levels. It basically levels everything out, because before it was very precipitous climb.
Sorry about that. So yeah, they've basically changed the dock weights that people can have.
Yeah, so it allows people to have tier 7 at a much maybe not fully built out, but it allows them to have tier 7 stuff at an easier earlier time.
It also helps out people that have bought, like, for example, the Skyfire deal.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff, because I know that a lot of people that bought it that have come back to the game that have got lower levels docks were only able to use like 2 or 3 ships in a fleet until they upgraded their docks, but now would be able to use the whole fleet. So that's always a good one as well, just to help people give them a little bit of a bump up.
Yeah, and it also lets you know like how crazy they went in the last year, when it's pretty stepwise. Level 1, okay, 2, everything is small little bumps till you get from level 13 to 14, and then everything goes crazy.
Yeah. True. So yeah, I think it's really good that they've done it. It's going to help a lot of people out. It's more realistic and in line with the technology that's available now. I think it should have been done a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously, with people getting even the PvE stuff, up to date tech compared to when the levels of the docks were created back in the day just don't match at all, which is obviously why they've done this. But yeah, it should have been done a long time ago, I think.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that, because we could also take a look at this, and, something I brought up last week is like turret repair times. I think at one point, 4 or 5 years ago, PvP, and that was well balanced. And, you know, like a tier 4 tower would take about 4 hours to repair at that point, 3 or 4 hours, somewhere in that neighborhood. And that was the longest thing to repair in your base. No, I'm sorry. Your rocket launcher took longer, and that was only because people were just rocking people's docks constantly. So that was a strategic change. but besides that, excuse me, they've just been bumping up things. They haven't realized, like, okay, 4 hours, that's, you know, the game felt balanced to a lot of players. Why don't we keep it at 4 hours as opposed to adding an hour every time we add a level up? Why don't we just reduce everything else accordingly? Or just keep it the same, however they want to do it. But just we increase some, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit. Once you increase some technology, the value of a technology, why do you keep on adding repair and build times to it? As opposed to either scaling everything down, so if the player base is happy and feel consistent with it, as opposed to punishing the players for upgrading their technology. Because right now, if you want to repair your base, some guy can come in, just take your portal out.
Yeah, and it's like if you want to,
it's 9 hours. Yeah.
If you want to instantly repair it, it's 21 coins, which is the same as the whole base. Basically, it's 23 coins for your entire base, 21 just for the portal.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Everybody wants to skip ahead on chat. All right, PvP changes in the future. August raid, we're going to get a new Conqueror Hall. I don't know if we're going to get a new weapon and special, but the assumption this is going to be on one side of the tree, and it'll probably be what locks the locked door. That's my guess, because this is not a tech raid.
Yeah, so yeah, they've said that there's not going to be any more release of any new PvE stuff this month.
Mm-hmm.
The new Conqueror Hole, obviously, the idea is to have one Conqueror Hole for each weapon type, and obviously it's going to have a base defense, which is really good against one of the things. So, like the Onslaught with the explosive, the missile cruiser with its missile, impact cruiser with its ballistic, Ifrit with its radioactive. So the next one's either going to be a concussive or a corrosive. And obviously, it's going to have that benefit, and the weapon that's going to come with it is obviously going to have deflection stat added to it for one of the other weapon types as well.
Yeah. And since they fired the person that names things, I'm assuming if it's concussive, it'll be revenge too. So look forward to that, because they, a couple of years ago, they really stopped naming stuff. They hire a consultant for like the Ifrit and a couple other things, but normally they just add another number to the back of stuff now, which I guess that's the way they want to do it. Then August Bounty,
or they put Poseidon's in front of it.
Yes, or they had somebody's name, but that's well, that's a flagship, potentially we'll get to Hefe's junk at one point along the way, but I don't see that happening this week or next week. But August Bounty, we're going to get the final Tier 7 Conqueror. So if it's corrosive or concussive, we're not sure which is going to be which, but that'll be released in Bounty. And then September's Bounty, we're going to get the final Tier 7 Defender Hall. Which I'm not a huge fan of. I think that should have been released in a raid, as I've talked about last week.
I would have preferred to have seen it in a raid. I think all the defensive stuff should be released in raids or in the FM. I mean, the turrets
or TLCs or something like that.
TLC, something so it's available to everybody. That if people don't want to get involved in PvP, they can have it.
Yeah.
From some other kind of thing.
Yep. And then September, October, we had the PvP Refactor, which means that they are going to rework our halls in such a way to reduce the complexity of trying to understand what's going on and inside of a base and with your PvP hall and things of that nature. And I got some little screenshots that we'll show later from Wrong Thinker responding to some of the posts. And that'll be an interesting thing and a sort of a scary thing, because it appears that they're going to be reworking all your PvP halls and potentially some of the specials, some of the armors, maybe some of your turrets, and not upsetting everybody in this instance.
It's going to be hard.
Yeah, that's going to be tricky. I mean, especially since, you know, Robot has a lot of game experience.
I think,
but he also introduced us to the Hunter Killer Mortar and the cheese balls that come out of our 85 relays for no reason. So he has experience, but he does do things that are out there. I mean, the Hunter Killer. You remember the Hunter Killer Mortar, right?
Yeah.
So he has experience, but to get this right,
I think a lot of it. I think, to be honest, I feel that in order to balance things out, I feel that they're going to go down the route of making sure that you're using PvP weapons rather than using anything else, which is going to suck because, to be honest, a lot of the, should we say, out of the box thinkers in the game that play PvP in the high end of things don't necessarily always use the stuff out of the box that they provide us. So
yeah,
I think they've got to be very careful in the way that they implement it. And I think they've got to kind of look properly about how people are actually using holes and the results that any possible changes might create.
Yeah,
very carefully, very, very carefully.
Yeah, and the next step in October is they're going to try to create additional value to hitting a base beyond medals. I'm not sure if they're going to create additional value for medals or. And this is getting into a really tricky space for me, because this game was founded on player versus player, base hitting, fleet hitting, things like that, hitting other players. But they got so far away from it after the first about 3 years of the game that it's a lot of players have been introduced to a PvE centric type of game, and they're not going to be. Dr. Death, with downloading that porn.
I think a lot of it. I think when they done the split, and when they changed things from resistances to deflection, I think that was kind of when they put a final nail in the coffin for PvP for a lot of players.
Yeah.
And it was definitely that at that very point where they then kind of reduced our ability to think outside the box and to actually come up with unique builds and that kind of stuff. You know, everybody's kind of running very similar stuff now, and it's boring.
Yeah, between build times and whatnot. Yeah. It's build times because if you screw up, if you take a chance and it doesn't work out, and also because the blueprints have not been correct for a long time. I mean, there's no more data mining, so we can't figure out what's actually behind a blueprint anymore. And they haven't added any more details onto the blueprints, and in addition to the problems with them not being correct. So, but more my issue with the October, the PvP value,
I think
assuming it can't be gameable in some way, this is a tricky point as far as driving away the PvE players that they've been accumulating for the last 4 or 5 years, the PvE players, that's going to be tricky. Should they be adding extra value? Because everybody says, I hit bases for the fun. So now they start adding some sort of tangible thing.
If you can hit bases, though, if you can hit bases and you can earn special resources like titanium and uranium in a set amount for getting 50%, 50% on the OP, 100%, etc.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think, and obviously the same for defending your base as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's as long as you can do it so that it's not exploitable. Like, I don't know, for example, you can't hit the same base more than once to gain that bonus in a week or a day or whatever.
Yeah.
So that you're not getting loads of people with ults just sitting there hitting the bases all the time.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be longer than a day, because if you hit the base right, it's gonna have a 36-hour bubble. So once a day, once a week makes much more sense.
Yeah, exactly. So you get that bonus for hitting, because I mean, then it's adding variety to the game as well. You're not hitting the same old bases over and over again. You're kind of forcing people, if they want to get that bonus, to go out, search for new bases. Take on a new different challenge every time, and and get rewarded for it.
I don't know if they'd be able to code it in to where they could lock you out of a specific base for a week. But I do
No,
like.
I'm not saying I'm not saying lock you out of the base for a week.
I think they need to tie in. I like the concept of adding those resources to the base hit as a reward, but I just think we just need to steal it, just like we do the regular resources.
Well,
and that solves the alt problem right there, because if the alt hasn't gone out and gathered the resources, you can't steal it from them.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think it needs to be a complete bonus on top. It doesn't need to affect anybody's game. If you're defending successfully, you get a bonus of, I don't know, say 50,000 uranium and 20,000 titanium. If you've successfully beaten the base, you get the same. And I'm not saying to lock someone out from being able to hit that same person within a week. What I'm saying is you only get that one bonus from hitting that player each week. And so all it is a case of coding in. Once you've hit that player and you've received said bonus, you've got a 7-day timer before that bonus will release again.
Yeah, it's basically a bonus bubble that only applies to the player that hit it.
Yeah.
I mean, but I could see a situation where an alliance sets up something where we got, some sort of, I don't even, you guys can make up your own thing at home, but you have like 5 or 6 of them and everybody else hits them,
But is that such a bad thing that over a week,
well, I mean, it's an exploit. I mean, I'm sure it'll be figured out.
Exploit. But you're going to get exploits in no matter whatever you put in this game. Someone's going to exploit it to some degree.
Yeah.
And I think that realistically, in the beginning, the reason that people hit bases, not only just for fun and for the challenge of doing it, was the fact that you could go and hit a base and you'd get 500% of resources, and it'd slow. It would, you wouldn't have to hit as many map targets and do as many chore shite as I like to call it.
Yeah. Let me step in here. A couple of people they missed a couple of words. That what is being suggested is not that you are, well, I think Dr. Death came in with something different, but what me and Earth have been talking about is basically a bonus. We're not stealing uranium and base parts from these players. It's just part of the bonus that's built in, sort of like metals. So well, that's a bad example because you're stealing metals. But there's like a bonus, like when the bounty that went completely crazy.
Completion bonus. It's a completion bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a completion bonus and a defending bonus, basically.
Yeah.
That's the way I would try to explain it.
Okay. Let's go to and let's Dr. Death. Do you have anything that is like other things that you could see as far as PvP value? Like, what would, I mean, because what you would want and not want as far as that goes? Okay.
No, that one scares me. I'm gonna sit back and see what they're gonna do.
Okay. I've taken a couple of snippets from the forum post that is dealing with the refactor, and the responses are from Wrong Thinker. The poster suggested the removal of overdamage pass-through charged armors, titanium, uranium, base parts, would be a huge step in the right direction and bring the game back to me against the rest instead of me against the game. Then I have time, the rest, I don't know. I mean, I don't understand I'm just going to address what he wants removed. The rest of it doesn't make sense to me. Some of these things might actually be on the chopping block, though not all. When we talk about overcomplication, some of the needless stat complexity is one of the things we're eyeing. And I'm assuming that deals with overdamage and pass-through. Since we're talking about PvP, I don't know how charged armors factor in there. So, yeah. But I can see that what I'm reading in the tea leaves is they're looking at re-examining overdamage and pass-through and somehow trying to simplify that.
Yeah, I think what they're just going to put on it. This is the building damage it does. This is the damage it's going to do to a fleet, and that's it. I think that's the kind of way that he's looking at it. If my spidey senses are going the right way, but you know, it's one of those things. You got to weigh it up, and you got to make sure you do it right. And obviously, there's a lot of weapons in the game now that aren't necessarily for PvP that work better because of the math associated with it than the latest and greatest weapons in PvP. So you've got to kind of factor that into your thing, because a lot of people,
and multi-shot and all that kind of stuff that deals with minimum damage and
minimum damage pass through.
Yeah.
So you need to kind of figure that into your things, because people are going to be pissed off if they've got every single one of their fleets that's got to be refit purely because of the position that Kixeye have put us in the first place. So, you know, it's kind of, you just, like I said earlier, you just got to look at it very carefully.
Okay.
And you've got to understand exactly how people are hitting bases, exactly how it's working properly. You know, you need to sit down and play the game at the high levels. Come in, join some of the big alliances. You know, I'm sure if you message us all and just go, like, can we just come and sit in, watch what you're doing, you know, let's see how you're building stuff and how you're using it, and actually learn about, you know, how people are using the technology in the game, why it's working the way it's working, and actually learn properly how the player base itself is actually using the game before you start changing anything. Because you know, how they think we play the game and how we play the game is completely two different things.
Okay. Let's move on to the next one, Dr. Depp. Yeah, this is what we're talking about. For what it's worth, if we decide to make metals worth more than bragging rights, which is on the table, we will not do so with also addressing the easy manipulation of metals. Our goal overall is to reward people for being good at PvP, not reward people who are good at farming lowers or their friends. So I think we pretty much covered that one. Anything?
Yeah, I think we covered that.
Yeah, okay. Let's go one more step. Dr. Death. This one deals with resistance versus reflection, or resistance versus deflection. We're not looking at going back to percentage resistance right now, but we are planning to rebalance deflection to avoid the exact problem. We are highly aware about how absurd it is that such small differences make such gigantic ramifications, and we believe we can fix the problem with deflection itself.
You'll never fix a problem with deflection. This is the reason that we're in the problem that we're in.
Exactly. Deflection's what broke the game.
As soon as they put in deflection, and as soon as they split everything into separate little boxes, that's when they completely fuck the whole entire lot of it. And sorry to say it, we're going to be in this constant battle until they just go back. But you know, I don't want to be negative, sound negative about it. You know, it's good that they're looking at it, but you know, we all know by playing the game that ever since they introduced it all, it has just been a complete and utter headache. And until it's sorted out, and until you start looking back at getting rid of deflection altogether, I think we're going to be in the same issue.
Yeah, because deflection is just straight
up.
It's
all or nothing. It's all or nothing.
All or nothing, exactly. You either are above what that deflection number is, or you're not going to do any damage at all.
You know, it's fair enough adding deflection in with resistances on top. You know, so then you can mitigate any damage over the top of the deflection factor that you've got. You know, you could be able to balance that a little bit better because you're just mitigating that small amount of damage over the top, aren't you? You know, it's not all or nothing. So you need to, if you could put it in there with percentage resistances on top of a set amount of deflection, that would work. But you know, it's just purely relying on deflection. It's always going to be all or nothing, and we're going to go straight back down the route of, well, it's minimum damage, or you know, you're getting killed in 3 fucking shots. Don't know what anybody else in chat thinks. I agree. So yeah, everybody agrees. So yeah, it's just.
Yeah, I don't think anybody likes deflection.
No. Yeah. So yeah, even Cuttlefish is saying, you know, shields, armor, resistances, you know, so yeah, deflection and then your armor or resistances on top is going to work because, you know, it's if you look at it in Vega, that's what they do in Vega. You've got all sorts on there. You've got shields and then you've got resistances associated with that. Which is basically just a deflection or a charge pool like we've had with charged armors. You know, kind of use it like, you know, set deflection so that you're taking, you know, that now, obviously with the MC3 plate, we can out deflect all of the missile and, well, in fact, pretty much anything in the game right now on the tier 7 hulls. You know, so get yourself a baseline and then, you know, you can create the damage so that it's, you know, just over that deflection, maximum deflection that you can have, but then add in resistances so that you can obviously protect yourself against set damage types to a certain percentage. You know, and it's not then killing 30% of your fleet in one hit. You know, you're gonna have incremental drops in it. It's not all or nothing. It's not as horrible as just having half your fleet wiped out in less than a second.
But you know, I mean, and this FM's a good. We swung the pendulum back because you got to admit, Irf, if you know how to build tier 7 holes properly, yeah. Now they've released this new plate. You can build holes now that can walk a base.
Yeah, agreed.
Nothing but minimum damage. There's nothing a player can put in their base that can get past the deflection that you can put on tier 7 holes now.
No, I mean the only things that can do it, I mean Onslaught is probably the best one to look at because obviously it's the only hull with the inherent bonus that's going to stop you from dying to drones. But like literally the only thing that can break the deflections on it, if you set it up right, is 5/5 supports and the faction on Phlogiston 2 launcher, and a 5/5 supports and the faction on a vulture missile on a critical hit. That's the only two things that can actually damage you.
Yeah, and I'm still upset about the fact that you need to have 5 fire supports, and we have 20. Well, we have 24 turrets plus the ability, depending on, probably add 2 more, 26 on your portals. Because you can't put a gate into tier 7s onto a portal. It's an interesting situation we're on. So we move on. MC Plate 3. Yeah, she has, it's the best one I could find that looked like plate armor. MC Plate 3 has been released in the FM. It basically does 3 times the deflection of MC1. It has a equip cap of 1. It's, as we'll see in another slide, it's 1 day, 17 hours and change to replace an MC1 plate. It basically appears to be adding space for additional armor plates that are doing more different kinds of deflection and making the ship more well-rounded by replacing basically 1-for-1, but 3 times what you're doing with MC Plate 1. Is there a place for it right now in the game, or does this feel like it's going to make some ships overpowered, and we're going to go to the situation of just minimum damage, pass through, over damage, whatever?
Definitely going to the minimum damage pass through situation with this release. They've swung the pendulum back to base hitting.
Yeah, and did they need to do it at this point? I don't think.
No, not necessarily. You could pretty much defend against pretty much everything apart from launcher, just by using weapons on your. Well, you could as well defend against the launcher with weapons on your fleet and the right armor loadout. But this does allow for more unique builds and more flair in building, which I don't think is a bad thing, because everybody's running around the same crap every time at the minute, and with this at least you're getting that little bit of wiggle room there. You can play around with different things and kind of get yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, it just feels like it should have come out with something else, not by itself. It just feels a little early. Not that they shouldn't release this.
No, I don't disagree to a certain extent. I think personally, with the state that we're in with the deflection stats, obviously just basically nullifying all of our weapons and our bases, they needed to add, dare I say it, but like an over damage stat, or a minimum damage that they would do per salvo to each of the weapons, rather than just doing minimum pass through. Because what was the point in us getting them all?
Well, the reason for the over damage as opposed to taken care of through pass through is things like the Chaos Chain Gun, where you have huge salvos and you have multiple damage types. So
no, I'm not saying the armor. I'm not saying the armor, Hefe. I'm saying on your turrets. I think turrets need to have like a minimum damage that they do, because 360 for a turret with all the bonuses on it that you've got is not right, is it? Let's be honest. I mean, what's the point in even putting in anything other than like an Axiom fucking gun or something like that at the minute? Because there isn't.
Well, I mean, there was a comment, but you just said you need to remove deflection and pass through. Now here come more. No, I was reading what's on the slides is not necessarily what I say or what anybody says on the panel. It's what Kixeye says, and so they said that that's potentially what they're going to remove. That's what we think they're going to remove based on removing complications associated with the game. We're not suggesting that's the way to go. Just so you understand the difference between, because a lot of the slides comes directly from the Kixeye briefings, and then trying to figure out what they're going to do. We're not saying I don't think we said that's the best thing to do, unless I missed, I was out getting beer at that point in time. But now, I mean, personally, I have, on previous shows, I've talked about there's so many things wrong with the PvP setup. I don't like the turret bonuses. I don't like the requirement for fire support 2 to make things relevant. I think things should be more range-based, the way they used to be, where a short-range turret is going to do a lot more damage than a long-range turret, and make the tier 7 bonuses associated with things that don't deal with deflection. Don't make them a damage bonus. Make them a splash bonus, a supercharge bonus, a reload bonus, a projectile speed bonus, something else that doesn't deal directly with the deflection value, and allow players to strategize based on that.
Yeah, because I mean, at the minute, it doesn't really matter what you've got on your base. With the addition of this, it doesn't, does it? Really?
Unless you were killing them with pass through before, and now you're still going to kill them with pass through.
Well,
and it would be interesting if they actually up the pass through as they increase the deflection as a percentage thereof. But yeah,
that's what I mean. So it needs to have a minimum figure on it that is not just a pass through figure. Because otherwise, what was the point in all of us having that, going out, getting all of the weapons, getting them all fitted in, and everything else, and then we've been bumped up in the armors, so then that just creates additional issues where we're just increasing power creep constantly because of what we're doing. Just get to a figure now, cut it out, and just go, this weapon is going to do this amount of fucking damage to your fleet, no matter what. If you're going to continue with the deflection route, that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, but it's
at least then everybody knows where they're at, don't they?
But it's going to be a little tricky because automatically, like high salvo weapons, high multi-shot, high salvo weapons.
Well, yeah, but you obviously tweak each individual weapon to do said damage. Short range weapons, higher damage.
Yeah,
and then it's not hard. It's just go back to how you used to do it.
Well, they fired all those people a long time ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is good that Rumthinker's been around a long time inside of Kixeye, so he knows people. It's not like, and I really like the fact that he's been around for a long time for multiple reasons, because I think from what we've seen historically, sometimes the product team beats up on the game designer team because they're like, they just want to, the game designers are new. want to keep their job and just agree.
And they don't want to fight back as much as someone who's been there for a while.
Yeah, and feel like GD Aerospace. I think that was what was going on with him. He wanted to keep his job, so he was listening to what products said, like, this is what we need to do, as opposed to a game designer that's been around for a long time and says,
knowing what he needs to do.
Yeah, and doesn't fear for his job. Doesn't fear for his job. So So I think we're in a better situation than we have been in a couple of years, but it really depends on how they move forward. But as far as, despite the limited knowledge base that Wrong Thinker has in regards to battle pirates per se, I think he probably feels more comfortable in his position at Kixeye than other people, just based on his longevity and whatnot. And he looks more like Will Harvin than the rest of them. So, we'll probably like some better that way. So, you want to click one more? It's still going to stay with this, Dr. Death. All right. MC Plate 3 is, we talked about this a little bit before we got the slides up, is 2.5 million to claim, and to refit from MC Plate 1 is 1 day, 17 hours, 3 minutes. Previously, all the normal prizes, new releases of technology, were 1.1 million. And so this is where we're seeing some points inflation that we've really don't like in the raid situation. And now it seems to have finally crept into the FM.
Yeah, and it's like I said earlier on, it just needs to be a flat cap of maximum that a prize is going to cost. To let everybody know where we're at, because people have got a plan. This comes back again to the grindiness of PvE and the way that, you want to make PvE less grindy, less of a pain in the ass for everybody, then don't put prizes in at 2.5 million when all the rest of the prizes that have been released have been 1.1 or 1.2 million. Set a cap, say, right, this is the hard cap of, it's never going to go past this amount unless it's a special prize that we're putting in there for a special release. So that any normal tech that's coming in through into the game, we know, and we can plan exactly how we're going to play during the week to get X amount of points that we need for that, X amount of titanium that we're going to need, X amount of uranium that we're going to need. So we've got a plan so that we can actually plan out what chores we're going to be doing during the week, and we know how long it's going to take us, so that we've at least got some sort of idea, rather than going, oh well, fuck, I need to go do 2.5 million points just to get one prize this week. That's going to take me extra time out of my available game time. So,
next
all
month,
these little things.
Yeah, because next month, Haymaker Drone 2 is going to be 2.5 million, right? And now we need to get 2.5 million to unlock whatever. And that's more what my fear is, because it's not like a flagship haul or any of these other things that are
just normal prizes, normal additions to the FM need to have a hard cap at a set point, and we need to know what that hard cap is, so that people can plan their chores around. We know how long it takes us to get uranium. We know how long it takes us to get titanium, etc., etc. We know the spawning times of all of the base part targets. The FM, if we know that we need to get an exact amount of points each week, then that's going to help us plan to do the PvE. It's going to make it less grindy, less chory than if we've got if it's changing each week and it's going up and it's going up and up and up. Just set a cap and go bang. That's it.
Yeah, there needs to be an end to, because this is the beginning of points inflation. George, you got anything on points inflation? I'm sure you never thought about this, Father George.
No, although I'm really kind of digging the Wonder Woman / Ariel combo there.
You know her name then? Okay.
I have no idea.
Okay, well, her name is Aria Giovanni, but yeah, okay.
Oh,
I was
okay.
surprised.
Well,
Yeah, you knew who
no,
she
I mean
was.
she's got the headband of Wonder Woman, and
yeah. No, I was going for more the plate armor.
well,
Yeah.
it looks like Ariel's Little Mermaid thingy. So whatever.
Yeah. I was going for plate armor, but yeah.
Points escalation. Yeah, inflation. Yeah, I may have said something about this when the FM changed. Possibly, maybe. You know.
So this is the first time I think we're actually seeing it for non, one-time prize that we were surprised to see in the FM. And this is the first time I think we've seen this. And we're also seeing an escalation in build times that are, I think, getting rather extravagant as far as to refit a MC Plate 1 with the MC Plate 3 is 1 day, 17 hours.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Yeah. So, all right. Is there anything we've covered a lot of stuff? Is there anything you want to cover at this point? Because I think the next couple slides just deal with the TLCs. We've covered a lot of stuff previously. But is there anything you wanted to get into before we get into the TLCs?
Not too much. I mean, I'm
what
just
about
going to
rewards for PvP for base hitting?
That's a good one.
Oh Lord, why? Why? Why the fuck would you do that?
I mean, because that was my statement. It's because everybody says that's why we do it. That's the fun. Now you're adding rewards in.
No. Look. Okay, if you go back, because this actually came up somewhere else too. I don't know how the hell did you guys get on this. Anyway, if you go back, Paul Priest is the one that introduced PvP in the forums, right? And he was very specific on a couple of things. It wasn't to get resources. I mean, that's a great byproduct and it incentivized it a little bit, but in reality, even way back in the day, you would have your favorite farms for resources, right? You would hit motherfuckers because you wanted to flatten them. At least everybody that I ever played with, that's what it was, right? You had your farms if you wanted base parts, fucking resources, and then you wanted to flatten somebody. That's awesome. That's what it was. The game was hitting people. I mean, otherwise, if it was just for resources, you'd hit someone like 2-3 times a week, and that's it. I mean, that's not going to have people playing for hours on end.
Yeah,
in the game.
The thing is, mate. What I was saying is, if you were to incentivize it, it kind of was an incentive to hit bases because you could get the 500% back in the day. It was an incentive to do it.
Right,
I'm
but
not saying that it was I'm not saying it's the reason that we done it. But what I'm saying is, if you could use an aspect of the game, like PvP, like hitting bases, if you were to be rewarded with chore target resources like uranium and titanium.
No, fuck that. Absolutely against that. No fucking way. Look, the 500% back in the day was not because you wanted the 500%. I mean, that was great. But the 500% was because you were fucking the other guy over. That's why we went on to comms and was like, 500%, yeah! Because it was screwing him over. It wasn't because I needed it. Half that crap went back into the ocean. It didn't matter. You know what I mean? You were screwing the other guy over. That's why we were hitting bases. I don't know what this mamby-pamby bullshit is about. Freaking, I used to hit no one ever did that crap because then you'd only be hitting bases a couple times a week. Shit took forever to build back then. Why I don't want to incentivize it another way is because exactly what I did in friggin' the bounty before last. Because it's gonna, you can exploit the hell out of it, but the other thing is, right, that people have got to understand is if you tack on something to a base, right? Like say, I don't know, you get I don't like an hour fucking repair token or whatever, right? Besides just exploiting it. Okay, we'll put that aside. We'll just say we're all going to be, squares and we're not going to try and get as much as we can out of the game, okay? The problem I have is currently already there are players that drop tag to avoid getting hit for alliance points. There are players that dump metals to avoid getting flattened for pixel shinies, okay? If you put something like this on, this is not like bounty where it's just for the weekend. You don't opt in and opt out. This is on all the time. There's no reprieve. People will be under fucking bubbles nonstop. You think they're getting farmed now? They will get just completely, absolutely just screwed Because anytime I see somebody that I can hit that's easy and I can get like an hour repair token, hell yes, level them. I don't give a shit. And that's what's going to happen. It's going to screw up. That's going to drop more players than it's going to keep by adding that in. It's just, that's a bad thing to do.
Yeah, I suppose it's a good thing. Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. The whole point of this is not to add, we don't really need to incentivize PvP, okay? They need to find a balance for it and get that fixed. But the underlying issue, the real issue of this is they've got to fix chores. Chores are an asinine friggin' time suck in this game. That's the real issue. It's not putting extra crap on a base hit.
Trying to, like, if I thought that if, you know, my thought was if you could kind of get people hitting and, you know, if you're defending, you get a bonus. If you smash the base, you get a bonus, and it takes away from your daily grind. I thought then, you know.
Yeah, I mean, look, the theory sounds good, but in practice, it's just a very bad thing to do because one, the players that are going to actually be able to do it and take advantage of it are going to exploit the hell out of it, and then the players that can't, right, that don't understand the mechanics, or it's just they're not just that good, or they don't have as much time to play on the game, they're going to get boned. They're going to get hit all the damn time. They're going to become, I mean, they're just not going to get on. Why would you get on and play? Because every time you log in, you're smashed because somebody wanted some extra bonus shiny that they added. I mean, I wouldn't want to fucking come back to that.
Yeah, yeah, I suppose there is a good point to that. Yeah.
Anytime y'all have a question like that, you come to me, I will find some sort of exploit before you even try putting that crap together. Because, I mean, shit. I can come up with this crap day in and day out. I mean, you know, it's just, I like the idea. I do like the idea, but the thing is, it would screw over so many players that are already trying to avoid PvP. They're just they feel like they're behind, or their bases aren't up to snuff, or they just don't want a PvP, or they just don't want to get their stuff, you know, damaged. They want to finish their ship builds. They want to finish their researches, whatever it is. They already try and avoid being a target. Why would you give them, you know, why would you force them to become a target when they're already doing everything they can to not be a target and kind of are avoiding PvP, which is really shitty because one, they'll be in a perpetual bubble, right? And they're either going to scrap, like, look, for them to try and do anything, they're going to incentivize hitting all these little bases or whatever. And even at 80, I mean, dude, come on. Or come on, man. Yeah, at level 80, say you found 20 level 80s and they all gave you a day token. How much damage you really think you're going to take on all, if you wanted to level all of them things right now?
No comment.
10, 12 minutes?
Right? Like that, probably.
So, I mean, honestly, so you just fucked 20 level 80 players because you incentivized base hitting, and they're trying to stick, you know, keep their heads down and catch up and get better at the game, and maybe someday get into PvP. But instead of helping them, giving them a leg up to get into PvP so we can really smash them, we're essentially just cutting their legs off instead.
Well, I was kind of I wasn't saying just do it across the board. I was kind of thinking more along the lines of where you've got, you know, your medals now.
Come on, make it more complex, and I'll tell you a way to exploit it even worse. Come on.
Well, I'm just thinking, you know,
think about that.
I want to throw my 2 cents in here, okay? I want to throw my 2 cents in here.
I don't want to dodge any more shit.
You ain't dodging no fucking shit. It's my 2 cents. That's copper.
Yeah,
Go ahead. We're telling you, say you're going to say something.
The bottom line, yeah, okay, so they're going to incentivize PvP. All right, and yeah, anybody that's from level 80 to level 100, unless they've got a strong alliance that has helped them get everything, is going to become a farm. Who the fuck cares? When did we become pussy pirates? Dear God, I spent fucking a year playing from under a bubble.
Yeah.
But back then there was...
I spent a fucking year playing under a fucking bubble.
But Dr. Death, back in the day, we all had some sort of like, we were much closer. There was the gaps, the disparity was not as great.
I mean,
there was some relevance to everybody. Our gauntlet was from 23 to 28. And then you were now at at 28, you started transitioning over, and you were the one that was laying out the smack, right? Now,
yeah, there's that. But what I'm also saying though as well is if you're looking at, they're looking at changing it to a point where certain power levels can only hit certain power levels. So then that's kind of not too bad.
oh Lord, are you shitting me? Really? You already can't see how you can manipulate that one? Are you kidding me?
I know.
Come on, man. Let's be honest at least. Don't give me this crap.
Yeah.
You know damn well how to manipulate that one. I could fuck that up all sorts of ways from Sunday.
Well, yeah, you could. Agreed. It's probably very easy to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. I think it'd be good to do in a certain way, but only if you could find an unexploitable way of doing it.
And that's why I said, in theory, it sounds great. It's just that in order to actually implement that into the game, you would have to add another layer of complexity to something that's already so screwed up. I don't even want them looking at this. I don't even know why the hell you guys are discussing this. How did this come up?
Well, I'm not. No. I'm discussing it because I don't think it should happen. Because everybody said this is the reason. This is the fun part of the game. This is what they'd like to do. I don't think this should be further incentivized.
I agree.
Yeah, that's the reason I brought it up. I mean, like, if this is why people are playing the game, this is the epitome of what they want to do. Don't separate out the players that have joined over the last 2 or 3 years that are the PvE pirates.
They don't know the glory days of PvP.
Yeah, but that's not the game that they came to play, is what I'm saying. Don't alienate them. Whether it's the glory days or not, don't alienate them. We need to keep the community together in such a way that we can't be, we can't be providing more benefits to the more experienced players and creating a greater divide between newer players and older players in the game.
There's a
I was just kind of offering a ways that they could do it, because they're going to do it. They're probably going to do it even if we all turn around and go, hell fucking no. So
dude, they can't even get bounty. Look, they can't even get bounty right.
I know, mate.
I mean, hell, if we got people complaining that, oh, you're taking my bounty, it's fucking Battle Pirates. Yes, I'm taking your bounty. That's the damn point. If we can't get bounty right, how in the hell you want to incentivize PvP further? I don't touch it. And the other thing is that there's such a stratification now within the game and the player levels. That's got to somehow be mitigated, because back in the day, right? If we want to talk about back in the day and the glory days of this and that, we were all kind of relative to each other. You know what I mean? There wasn't this huge, like, going from level 1 to 100. That it. I don't know. That one's hard to articulate.
They've already in the past incentivized base hitting, and we saw how well that went and wasn't exploited. Remember pumpkins?
Or the R&D stuff? The R&D research time, yeah.
That was an incentive for base hitting, Oh
yeah, I took advantage of that.
Oh, I did too.
And I can't hit bases for shit.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to think if there's any other issues that we missed that George may want to talk about. Like, why is MC Plate 3 even around?
I just like his arguments. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, because we're moving into the boring part of the slides, and I'm just trying to think if you guys can think of.
I mean, the one caveat that I have.
But we are fucking catering to you after they fucking. Who decided that the town hall meetings would start when the show did? Who did that? Because Larry was always able to make the show, so somebody decided to put it right when the show started. Not happy about that.
I have to say I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, all righty.
So what I did want to say, a caveat for all the PvP stuff, right? Like all the stuff's coming out. Some people are flipping out about MC Plate 3. Some people aren't because they can do the math. The catch is they've actually said they're going to come and rebalance everything after it's out. So right. So here's the thing. So here's the thing, right? All this stuff's going to come out. Everyone's flipping out. I wouldn't flip out about anything because they said they're going to come out and redo the stuff. They're going to rebalance the stuff. They're going to try and make it so that I don't remember how he phrased it in the
basically be less complicated and
No, I think he said, but I think when they were describing it, he said something along the lines of like they're going to try and make it so the fleet that's good at this is going to still be good at this or whatever. I think the way it looks, and I mean this is just purely guessing, but I think the way it looks is that they have seen how really horrible this year has been from the transition from tier 6 to tier 7 and then the swings and then also the crap. I think they're trying not to just fix tier 7 because I think they could have done that a little bit easier and with less time that they're taking. I think they're taking their time to try and transition or make the transition from 7 to 8 in such a way that they don't totally screw us for getting all this stuff now. Because one of the big things that a lot of people have been complaining about is, hey, we're getting all this PvP stuff now. That's awesome. That's great. And then what happens when tier 8 stuff comes out? Are we screwed again? Because when tier 7 came out, all the tier 6 stuff was crap, right?
Yeah, and we talked about that a little bit earlier as far as like you could see it in the dock weight jump. And that was the GDA stuff where like, okay, we're gonna quadruple everything as far as armor and damage and whatnot to make everything else irrelevant. It's not a gradual increase. It's like then this day happened, and that was just
Lord. Okay. Can I just address something because I'm really already fucking tired of hearing this shit. I'm already seeing people on the chat going like they're gonna nerf da da da. Look, it's not a nerf. Rebalancing is not a nerf, okay? Because it's going to be contextual to everything else in the tier as well. If they came out and like, hey, we're going to make all the MC plates half of what they are, right? Yeah, that'll be a nerf. But if they go, hey, we're doing this because of this and because of this and because of this, that's not a fucking nerf. It's a rebalance. There is a difference, okay? So if you want to start screaming and throwing torches and pitchforks and shit, at least do it like
no. As long as they do it correctly. I mean, I'm
not going to guarantee that. I don't. I said, the proof is in the pudding for that. But I just don't want people to already start flipping out, going, nerf and nerf and nerf, and start throwing, rotten eggs and shit when we don't even know what the hell's going on yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't respond to a lot of those posts, but we don't know what they're going to do. And we talked about this a little bit earlier as far as the fact that like Wrong Thinker has a very limited experience in the game. Robot's still around and he has experience in the game, but he's also introduced us to some of the things that are crazy in the game, at least as far as the PvE arena. So I don't know. Oh my God. Never mind. the person I gave a 5-minute timeout is already back after 3 minutes. I'm not sure how that happened, but the hunter killer missiles and the cheese balls and whatnot. Robot is not without sin as far as what he's done to this game. He's created some ideas, really bad ones, and. I mean, are you a big fan of the Hunter Killer Mortar? You remember that?
You know what? I was after I pissed off everybody at Kickstarter.
The Hunter Killer Mortar and the cheese balls that pop out and everything. I'm like,
oh, the cheese balls are a pain in the ass. I don't even know why the hell those are in the damn TLCs and stuff. Like that should have just been killed. They want to nerf something that should be nerfed.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, but I don't know. I guess we should move on. I mean, we've been talking about the same stuff for a while.
I've been enjoying the view. I don't know about y'all, but
yeah. You called her Ariel, but it is Area Giovanni. Yeah, this is a picture.
I called her Ariel. From. Yeah, I called her Ariel, like the Little Mermaid Ariel.
Yeah. No, I'm familiar. Yeah, because the the plate armor is seashell shaped, or scallop shells to be more exact.
Ooh,
So,
the Path of Chameleon. I love this TLC.
I love the fact that it is
Co-op.
one encounter, 20 minutes. I mean, like all a good encounter should be. Starts with assault. I was already past that, just to earn the chameleon. The next one's skirmish. It's fairly easy if you have Fangtooths. And I did find it a little odd. I did run into some lag, and for some reason I lost my oh damn, what's the flagship?
Phantom.
What's the flagship? What? Yeah, the Phantom.
Yeah,
the Phantom. For some reason I lost it for no, I lagged a little bit. Next thing I know, it was gone, but I still ran through it. And then the siege portion, the third portion, I was running Hydras, and I did it on auto, and I had less than 10 minutes of damage on the map. So it's really easy if you have the right builds and have everything else, because I just, I outed that. Well, sort of an auto. I mean,
Yeah.
I grouped up all my fleets together. I grouped the fleet up together, and then I put it on auto.
Yeah, my recommendation, and Earth's about to tell you, but my recommendation is co-op this bitch. Absolutely 100% co-op this bitch. Free tokens, save them up until you get the fleet out, because even though it sucks for everything, it's still great for expeditions, especially when we have like 6 and 7 day raids, and it doesn't matter how damaged they get in expeditions because they come back healed.
Yeah. So basically, me and George did a little bit of experimenting last night.
Oh my god!
It wasn't even an experiment. I already knew what was going to happen, but that's okay.
Well, we both knew what was going to happen, but
we just wanted to do it.
Oh my goodness! I'm gonna have to walk away at this point, but yeah, I'll be back in a couple of minutes, and you boys talk this out.
So basically, we decided that we were going to.
Oh man, you gotta start it. You gotta start it the right way. There was these 2 girls at the bar, right? And then you go, sorry. Go ahead.
Right. So we knew something. There's part of the game mechanic in the game with co-op. So, for example, on the SSRBs, we know that the hunter and the proto tide seeker, the auras overlap and add to each other when you're doing co-op, so it gives you extremely high resistances. So rather than wasting our time doing it with Fangtooths and having to drive our asses off, I stuck a fleet of hunters in and sat in the corner. George ran through his prototides, destroyed the target in less than a minute. For how much damage? It was very little, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it actually was like 45 or 50 minutes, but that's because one of them wasn't built and it didn't have any armor or anything on it. It had an engine though, so it kept up and got its ass whooped. But I mean, and then the other one was the Hydra and the what the hell did we put in there?
Proto-Centurion. We put
Proto-Sense and Hydras. And that one, I mean, we're gonna do it one more time tonight, and I'm gonna try and grab a video to put up, but. That one, the only damage I took was to the proto, and that was because I didn't stop it. I just kind of let it just fully auto, which was dumb. But the thing is that I think, and I don't think it's an exploit, because I know some people have already asked from last night. I don't think that it's an exploit, because the intent of the SSRB was to co-op it, and this is a co-op campaign. I believe those are supposed to act that way in order to incentivize the co-op, because they recognize right, and I think it's meant to do it that way because it incentivizes a part of an aspect of the game that they're just realizing is really important. That's the social aspect of the game. So yeah, you can do it without co-oping, but man, co-oping is the way to go, because you will be able to walk through this whole thing in minutes and a lot of damage. It'll be fun. And it actually was fun. I mean, I was giggling half the time. time because we were just like, yeah, all right. And we were also taking advantage of the brand new global chat too, so that was fun. But the thing is too, is like I see
going, don't send prototypes in there, don't send hunters in there.
Yeah, they're gonna die. Don't send.
Fuck you, watch this.
Yep. we had like 10 people watching before it even started. I was like, what the all right, awesome. But I see a lot of people poo-pooing on the chameleon, and I know Earth doesn't quite particularly like them, but this was my thought process behind it, is that I got the tokens when they came out in the raid. I had the tokens from the last TLCs that they had. I have a fleet out already. And the thing is yeah, I don't use it for shit except for expeditions. But when I do need it, I mean, it is really handy to have to stick in that expedition when the generalist card comes out, and you can just have them going all the damn time. And the really cool thing is, if you screw up, and this actually goes for any of the fleets, if you happen to go into the expeditions by accident, if you screw up, go run in a corner if you can, and let it time out. If it times out, you come back healed. And yes, Superman, I know they're not worth a shit for anything else. I started that. That was the caveat that I started with. But the thing is if you have them running all the time in expeditions, it just saves you some time overall because you can just kind of let them go, right? Well, it takes all of like 3 or 4 minutes to run the target. So
yeah, if you got a whole store raid and you can't access any titanium and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, yep.
It's always a good thing.
Yeah. You know, and they have.
Well, what I do is I've got bucks and I've got hydras. So what I'll do is I'll, send my hydras in to do it. And so at the beginning of the raid, just before the raid or whatever, if I know there's turrets coming up in the raid that I need to change out, straight in with the hydras.
Yep.
Fill up once, fill up, and then send in the hydras, get them in there.
I will say of all of the cards, right? I know a lot of people have been saying the generalist cards are busted. They're actually, I know for a fact the base parts one is not anymore. Once in a while it would end a day early rather than taking that last full day to complete. So that kind of threw off some people with their base parts. But the numbers I've tested, at least in the base parts one for sure, is working with the chameleon. So you get a whole ton of damn base parts. And once you get them built and ranked, I mean, the only problem with chameleons is that they got to get ranked, right? And I mean, they gave you some tokens. I don't think it's enough tokens. Personally, I would like to see a lot more overall tokens from this, because I don't know that there's a value to these things other than expeditions. So, a lot of people, I mean, and then, a lot of people
and I
hate them.
If you want to encourage people to use them, I mean, half the reason that I don't really want to build any is because I can't be asked to rank them.
Right.
Perfectly honest.
Well, they did give you some tokens here. I ranked up one. I used one. Yeah, it is not enough. And the payoff is not really all that good. I mean, I have 4 of them. I put 4 of them in, and they're about 60% ranked on average using tokens historically. I had 4 of them as Zelos, and I threw them in, and over 2 days, I kept the Zelos hidden in the corner, but shift 5, just didn't let it play the game. But I'm going to get 50,000 titanium over 2 days. I could hit 2 targets. Do they overfill, or?
I don't think it does overfill.
It does not overfill. It does not.
No, but I think the key they're pointing out is that you can launch that fleet right at the start, or right before raid starts, or right at the start of raid for titanium, and have that drip coming in through a 6-day tech store. A whole store. You know what I'm saying? When titanium's not available anyplace else except for unless you want to buy the ridiculous amounts that they sell in the raids.
Oh yeah, agreed. Yeah. So I mean, that's why I said, like I said, all of my chore fleets are usually in doing campaigns during, expeditions during the raid. I'll always send them all out just to do it because do that trip.
And here, I think the point that I was kind of trying to make was, a lot of people are poo-pooing on this. just do the TLC anyway. Co-op it with somebody, have some fun, enjoy doing it, and have the tokens there just in case. Because if you get to the point where you're like, yeah, you know what, it might be cool to have something that I can just throw out there and not freaking worry about it, because it can't get sniped, right? It comes back healed. Really, the only investment for this thing is building them and ranking them. And if you can save up enough for both of these, you don't even have to worry about that, right? So,
well, exactly. You know, if you want to save up the tokens,
yeah,
save up the tokens, get them,
unlike
you
other
know,
ones,
build them instantly, so that it's not tying up your shipyard.
Shipyard. Yep. Because unlike the other ones, you can actually hold, I think, 99 for both of these. I think, right?
I think it's pretty high. I think.
Yeah, it's 99 each, and
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
don't overlook this.
And it's easy. I mean, if you have the tech, it's an easy and very quick.
Man,
I mean, it's one encounter, and you don't even need to co-op it, really, to be honest. Like I said, you know, I took 9 minutes of damage on the prize pack 3.
For the time that you took in doing prize pack 3, so you could get 9 minutes of damage, you could have co-op the entire thing. That's the part that you walked off on. We walked this thing so stupidly last night. It was just ridiculous.
But 9 minutes of damage is, you know, that's on the map. 9 minutes on the map.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean it's 3 different fleets. I like that. We're not, you know,
we run it on complete auto yesterday, and George, the one ship that took damage in the skirmish one was a ship that had 0 armor on it.
Yeah.
0 specials, just a
well, actually, no. The lead ship took, I think, 8 or 12 minutes of damage on it on the prototype, but they also have like no rank. But so I took that one out, and I took the one that I should have just held back, because we were mixing fleets too. It wasn't all one thing or the other.
Okay. Yeah. All right, let's move on from Path to the Chameleon so we can get some other people involved. Dr. Death, Scorpion Sting Elite. You know, it does have a mastery round that allows you to get a lot of Manticore tokens. This is really good for players that don't have their Manticore fleets where they want. Personally, I have 2 Manticore fleets. One at I'm sorry, something happened in my house.
Dun dun dun.
Boom, boom, boom. I have 2 Scald Manticore fleets.
Protect the beer.
Yeah. One scattergun and one missile one, and they're all Scald and built and whatnot. And I have, I think, 25 days of Manticore tokens. So I'm not even sure. I don't really plan to do this because there's really no reason at my level, but it really helps out. You know,
dude, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna max out on all of my Manticore tokens that I can, because they keep on fucking with the damn raid targets, and I'm having to adjust every damn time. And one of the things is I'm probably gonna have to adjust a little bit too, because I took my M armor. I have 2 fleets, just like you do. I have 2 fleets, right? And I took
and I have max tokens. I have max tokens as well. So
yeah, see, I don't, because I was still kind of tweaking stuff. But I took like my M armors and I put those on my Dragon or on my Greta, because I kind of wanted to mess with the FM, and I did. So I only had like the CO armor, and I did some of the specials on the scatter hull. So my missile hull hasn't gotten any loving at all. So hopefully they're gonna have some stuff in the raid that I can take and tweak those as well, because I need to.
Yeah, because you can only keep so many tokens.
Yeah, which is crap. That's such a bullshit thing.
Yeah, because I mean, it was last week, wasn't it? We done Double Trouble campaign, and obviously, if your shipyard was busy, then you could do the first 2 prize packs, but the third you'd end up losing the 3-day token.
Yeah, you needed to spend 1 in order to do that, because you won 6 and your limit was 5.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's not good doing that. But you're right in this one. You can load up on this one.
Yeah, or if you're already loaded up, what do you do? I mean,
Well, yeah, exactly. This is kind of the point, isn't it? You know, with having that one last week, you probably already loaded out. It's good for people catching up that haven't got their Manticores built.
Exactly. This is sort of like the turret terror. Or what was it called? The turret one, where you got all sorts of turrets that were only that was only meant for mid-level players.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And this feels the same way. The players that are trying to catch up on stuff. It has the same sort of feel to me.
I mean, look, let's be honest. These things are so fucking shit because the damage in the raid set is just sucktastic completely. The scatter auto hull doesn't do its job for shit, right? Like it just never actually did what it was supposed to do.
It's good. But it's good unless you're trying to auto it. But yeah.
But that's the whole point of the damn hull. And even then, I mean, if I'm driving it, if I'm going to drive it, if I have to drive it like a skill hull, I better get the same damn friggin' results as the skill hull because I invested the same shit in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not. It's not happening. You know, not everybody has two hulls. So if you're stuck with one or the other, you're boned. I mean, these targets suck. Actually, I can't even say the targets. It's not the targets. It's the damage that sucks in the targets.
Well, yeah, I agree. The damage sucks in the raid targets. But so, what do you think about them extending it out and us having to do another of this raid series?
The very first thing I said was, "You got to be fucking kidding me! This raid series sucks ass."
And what was the last good raid series?
The one before this one. That was pretty good. The Bucks performed pretty well up until the lastish raid.
Until they told us they screwed up and they messed up, right?
And then the one before that was pretty good. That was the Hydra and that was Hydra Buccaneer, and then it was what was before that? The Hunter and Fangtooth, right? My Hunters worked great.
Okay.
They kicked ass. And then before that was what? Shit, I don't even remember now.
It was probably Garrison, right? Or no? Was it Garrison? I don't know.
Someone just said the Darkwing helps. The Darkwing was a CIC to correct a screw up. I don't want to get into how that got screwed up, but let's just say I'm not happy about it because we were supposed to have the Minesweeper, not the Darkwing. So,
I've already got Minesweeper in all 5 of my hulls. So, yeah.
What the hell? What came up before Buck and Hydra, Fangtooth and Hunter?
Skies and Phoenix.
Oh, Skyfire and Phoenix. And Skyfire's worked great, except for the one target that they just screw. I mean, the thing is the hulls have been working well, except when they mess up the target a little bit. This one, they just suck. I mean, they're designed in such a way that they're actually coming into range of secondary scatter targets, and they're walking into damage that they shouldn't. It's just it's working like crap. It's either the targets are really, really poorly executed, which I have a hard time believing, or the hulls are just shit, and I have an easier time believing that one.
Yeah, I think
well, these hulls have so many issues. Like in the previous raids that you guys were talking about, we had a healer ship which had a really low repair efficiency, and then we had charged armor on top of that didn't have any repair time. So that part is just the fact they haven't addressed that directly is just phenomenal to me.
Yeah, because I mean the armor, what did it take for them to turn around and go, look, we screwed up. We know we screwed up. Here you go. What we're doing is we're going to change the armor so it's 0 repair time on the armor completely, and we're going to reduce the base hull down a bit, because let's be honest, if you auto a target and for some reason you're taking loads of damage, you auto like 2 or 3 and you repair it, and even at half repair, 12-hour repair is not nice, is it?
No.
For a fleet.
No, and they're trying to plan out, getting the tier 7 stuff out to people, in their hands and stuff, and I'm not seeing a nice easy way of getting. I mean, distribution is going to suck with the FM stuff. That's like outrageous amounts of points. If the same thing happens in raid, I mean, yeah, I can understand them letting all these tokens out because they got to get this crap in people's hands because this raid set sucks. They probably figured out, yeah, everybody's gonna have to build both fleets, right? That's all I can think of, because I mean, if you want to get the tier 7 stuff out, it's going to be in raid, and this whole month is going to be like no new PvE stuff. I mean, it's got to be cheap. If we hit the raid and it's the same as last month, and we need 300 to 500 million to get all the PvP crap, I mean, that's just asinine. That's not going to help anybody. It's not going to help the game. It's not going to help get tier 7 stuff into people's hands.
Everything needs to be just like top out at like 50 million for everything.
I mean, look, I've said it a bunch of times, and they've actually done it. I've said, suck it up for a month and get your shit together. And they've sucked it up for a month. I just don't see them getting their shit together. That's the part that was a 2-step process, not just a 1-step process.
All right. Well, I think this is the last slide. You want to check Dr. Death? I think it's the. Oh no! Okay, I have not talked about the chat because I think the chat revamp would have been much better spent doing what I suggested a month or so ago, as far as making the filtering for people trying to build fleets a lot easier. Than I know Earth likes to, do this kind of stuff where he's like, he wants to announce to everybody what's going on. But I think most players are a little bit more private than Earth.
And you're wrong. You're completely wrong.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Explain.
You're completely wrong.
Okay.
It's actually created, by them putting in there, it's created more fun, more PvP. Everybody's been chatting. People in complete and utter different sectors helping out other people in other sectors to do their PvE stuff and stuff like that. And to be honest, I think it's actually quite good for the game. It really is. And it's constantly, there's loads of people on there. And
what I said last night, and I think I said it to you, Arf, right? It is that the global chat now, or the world chat, looks like sector chat used to 7 years ago.
Yeah. It's just, there's constant something going on constantly. It's bringing that community aspect back together again. Sector chat's dead. There's not a single thing that's been said in my sector chat in the last and since it come out yesterday. Not a single thing has been said in there. It's all been in world chat or in allo chat. So I actually think it's quite good. I don't disagree with you that it would have been nice to have the special ship filter sorted out. But
I mean, and I don't know if it's just 200, but I mean, 200 is like, that world is just going absolutely apeshit in chats. Every time I go on, it's fun as hell. Now, this right here, I mean, this is something that me and Wayne had we actually had been working on. I'm going to say it, I was a little selfish. We've been working on something like this for his site for, I don't know, like 5 or 6 months, because I'm a lazy motherfucker and I didn't want to have to do this every single time I tried to find stuff in game. So he actually, while we were working on the calculator for the turret calculator, because the data was the same, like he was figuring out a way to do this for me, so it was easier for me to build like some of the like test builds and shit. And he actually has something like this on his site now, I believe. I don't know if he's still testing it or if it's live on the site now, but it helps out a ton, because holy crap. And the better thing on his, and I know this might be cool if they add it in the game, but on his, when you pull it up, it'll actually, like if you pull up, say, accuracy, so you want to see a special that does accuracy buffs or whatever, or weapons that do accuracy buffs, it'll list the amount as well. So not only do you get to see like all the stuff that does the accuracy buff or the splash or whatever, it'll actually give you the amounts as well, so you can pick the biggest one and all that other crap. So I don't know. Yeah. It's a good idea. I mean, if they could incorporate this and do it the same way in the game, where it's like, hey, well, actually in the game, if you do like splash and it brings up all the splash stuff, I guess you could hover over it and you'll see which one has the highest.
Because now you're reduced to a certain number of specials that you can look through. Instead of looking at 200, going through 280 something specials last I counted.
It's almost 300. I mean, that's just nuts. And the other thing too that I want to see if they do this is they got to do it also in the weapon area too, because if you can pick cannons and you can pick this and that, but now with the advent of PvP and the PvE split, and we have the deflections and all this other crap, I want to see, hey, what has ballistic deflection, right? Why can't I pick that? I mean, and I know it's going to make the drop down really big, but I mean, shit, that's what we look for when we're trying to design stuff.
But you wouldn't put ballistic deflection because otherwise it gets too big. You would put deflection, or ballistic. The obvious one is to do PvP versus PvE. The PvP stuff, deflection versus resistance, as far as armors go, and that would be helpful right off the bat. But then you could also do ballistic, because you're going to be creating a smaller and smaller list that players can choose from, because there's not all we get is pictures of what somebody in the art world decided this looked like. It doesn't give us that much information until you hover over it.
Right.
It's not great in my mind as far as the current system. It's less than great, but So,
I don't know why Corey keeps on. Why you keep on talking about butt plugs, man? I mean, are you he's got a fetish or something? I don't know what it is.
I'm not
Irv, go take care of him. Get him in line.
Yeah. So
just going in instead. Sorry.
Yes. All right. Well, I will put the link one last time in case anybody wants to join. We've been going for almost 2 hours. And if anybody would like to join the after show, feel free to. And I'm not sure how much, what we're going to be talking about, but my guess is we're not going to be talking about giant butt plugs the size of Texas. But, Earth may have a special chat assigned to that, but that's not going to be on
Corey jumps on, and obviously it's going to happen, isn't it? Because that's all he's been talking about for the last 2 days.
Hasn't he, though? I mean, he's got a fetish or something going on, man. Okay. I don't know.
Well, yeah. All right. Hey, Chris, is there anything you want to say before we go off? Since it appears the boys want to talk about butt plugs, and that's not where this show is going.
Don't ask him, otherwise he'll say something about me trying to.
Oh, okay. Now I know who that is.
No,
okay. Oh, okay. I'm assuming Mike showed up to talk about butt plugs, right?
No.
Okay. All righty. Well, since nobody's going to talk about butt plugs.
Somebody's talking about butt plugs.
Thank goodness.
Anal leakage, maybe. Anal leakage, maybe.
Yeah, no, we're not going to talk about any of those things. Just so everybody knows. That's not really the show for that. Tomorrow night, you might be able to hear about that, but not on this show.
We're still live.
Mike's still eating that whole Alestra friggin' chip thing, I guess.
Yeah.
What?
So
somebody said butt plugs, and Mike showed up, so I don't understand.
Yeah. DP. So,
well, he is the defended by 6 men, man, isn't he?
Yeah.
Six men and 4 butt plugs.
I'm changing that fucking name.
Yeah, we've been hearing that for 4 weeks now.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Well. All right. Well, I'm going to end the live broadcast at this point, and everybody has a chance to say good night, from Superman to Magic Mike to Father George. Everybody. So,
night, everyone.
Yep.
We'll see you all on Friday. So,
Corey,
sideways even.
Sideways.
Talk to you all on Friday.